Welcome back to Home by Christmas. Today we move on to Mission 3, the Battle of Pyongyang. And judging by the briefing, things are moving quickly. According to our pilot's journal, the United Nations forces are pushing north after the Incheon landings. The 8th Army is advancing towards Pyongyang from the west, while X-Corps continues north along the eastern side of Korea. Our pilot is feeling pretty confident about how the war is going. Apparently, everyone is. There is even talks that the war could be over by Thanksgiving. There are also rumors that China might intervene, but according to the reconnaissance reports our pilots have seen, there is still no sign of large numbers of troops crossing the Yalu River. I'm sure that information will age perfectly fine. For now though, our job is much smaller. We're flying close air support from Suwon in the F-51 Mustang. Our flight will head north at around 6,000 feet, descend as we approach the target area, and support friendly forces fighting near Bukyo-ri. The enemy has tanks, self-propelled guns, heavy mortars, and other defensive positions along the ridgeline. Friendly troops are supposed to mark their position with white flares, and once we identify the enemy, the instructions are pretty straightforward. Bomb first, rocket second, and if anything is somehow still moving after that, 6 50 caliber machine guns. This time though, the mission begins slightly different. In the previous sortie we started on the ground with the engine completely shut down. Today, the Mustang is already running. I have absolutely no idea why. Maybe the ground crew knew we were in a hurry. Either way, we form up behind the rest of the flight, taxi towards the runway, and wait for our turn. Today the weather is relatively calm. There are broken clouds above us, and with the 4 Mustangs moving north together, there are moments where I'm perfectly happy just letting the game speak for itself. Eventually, we reach the combat area. Below is a small town with a road running straight towards it. The closer we get, the more obvious it becomes that there has already been a serious fight here. There are craters everywhere. Vehicles around the town, defensive positions on the surrounding hills, and plenty of anti-aircraft fire waiting for us. Our flight leader calls the attack, and almost immediately the other Mustangs roll over and dive towards the enemy positions. Once again, the NPCs actually put on a pretty impressive display. They come down and release their bombs with amazing precision. Bombs start landing around the armored positions on the hills, and several of them hit extremely close. Once all of them finish dropping, I follow them in. I pick what looks like an armored vehicle, settle into the dive, and release my first bomb. And somehow, put it almost exactly where I wanted it. The bomb lands right next to the vehicle and completely destroys it. Every accurate bomb I managed to drop in this campaign still feels like a personal achievement. I pull away, I bank left, and I start climbing again. And that is when somebody on the ground makes the mistake of shooting at us. The traces make their position very easy to spot. I look down, spot the gun, and decide that since he was kind enough to announce exactly where he was, he could have the second bomb. And once again, the bomb lands almost directly beside the position. That gun stopped shooting, so I'm gonna assume it went down. 2 bombs, 2 targets. I am feeling very freaking good. While climbing back toward the formation, I noticed the other Mustang attacking the original position again. They came back down together, released another set of bombs, and hit the area around the tanks with surprisingly good accuracy. And as I am watching them, I notice another anti-aircraft position nearby. The rocket lands directly into the position. Another gun destroyed. So far this mission is going considerably better than I expected. The flight has already destroyed several positions. Both of my bombs actually went where I intended them to go, and even the rockets are cooperating. I climb again and I start looking around for more targets. And there is another gun, sitting right there in the middle of town. I turn towards it, I come down for another pass, and I release 2 rockets. This time the shot was not perfect, but I think they landed close enough. It looks like at this point the entire area is being turned apart. Bombs are going off around the hills, rockets are landing inside the town, aircrafts are coming through from different directions, and I am noticing a bunch of different explosions appearing around the railway. At first I didn't really know what it was. Maybe I thought it was just an ambient explosion, like or friendly ground units attacking, but then I realized one of my wingmen was actually firing rockets. And unless I simply missed it before, this is the first time during this campaign that I have really noticed the NPCs, my wingmen, using rockets this aggressively. It was pretty cool to see. There was still another anti-aircraft gun inside the town. Apparently nobody had explained to this man what had happened to the previous 3, and I still had rockets. So I came around and prepared to line up after this one anti-aircraft gun. Both my rockets landed right around his position, and that was the end of that problem. At this point, I climbed above the area and simply started looking around. The town had taken an enormous amount of damage. Most of the defensive positions had stopped firing. The women were still making passes against some of the railway cars, but there did not appear to be a locomotive there anymore. It looked more like a cargo sitting along the tracks. And back on the original hill, I could see one armored vehicle that somehow remained alive. The rest of the flight had apparently noticed it too, because they kept strafing it with their 50 caliber machine guns. And that, well, that's a tank. I was not particularly optimistic, but if everybody else was going to try, I was willing to participate as well. So I flew around, I came down, I lined up, and I fired my 50 cals and achieved approximately what you will expect from firing machine guns at the front of a tank. Absolutely nothing. Then I realized something. I still had one rocket left, and that means one final opportunity to finish the job properly. I turned around, lined up the tank, fired the rocket, and missed completely. After landing nearly every important weapon in this mission, apparently the universe decided I had received enough encouragement. I came around once more and tried strafing anything nearby that looked remotely destructible. Boxes, equipment, the tank again. Nothing particularly useful happened. So eventually I turned the interface back on just to figure out whether we actually missing an objective. And according to the mission information, we had basically destroyed everything that mattered. The only remaining activity I could see was another armored column moving in the distance. I went over to investigate, and it looked like a column of T-34, so at least something very similar. And because I was not almost completely out of useful weapons, I decided to test the 50 cals again. Predictably, the tanks did not care. At this point, I think we had contributed enough to the Battle of Pyongyang. It was time to go home. But on the way out, I noticed something really cool. The friendly column we had been supporting was now moving up the highway towards the town. These were the troops we had just cleared the road for, so naturally there was only one responsible thing to do. A completely unnecessary low pass. For morale, of course. I brought the Mustang down to the trees, flew along the road, and passed directly over the advancing column. Somewhere down there, I'm sure at least one soldier looked up and thought, wow, the Air Force. And hopefully nobody looked closely enough to see how many rockets I had missed. With the morale of the entire United Nations command successfully improved, we turned south towards Suwon. The difficult part of the mission was over. All that remained was landing the Mustang, which apparently was asking too much. I came into the base normally and touched down without any problem. And then for approximately 3 seconds I forgot that I was flying an F-51. I hit the brakes too hard, and the nose came forward. And the propellers touched the runway. Enough that the ground crew would definitely notice. After spending the entire mission avoiding AAA, destroying defensive positions, dropping amazing bombs, and returning home in one piece, I damaged the aircraft while parking it. Excellent. So once the Mustang finally stopped, I got out as quickly as possible and walked around to inspect the damage. Mostly because I needed the time to develop an explanation. As far as the engineers are concerned, I landed perfectly, and the propeller damage clearly occurs sometimes afterwards. Probably enemy sabotage, I don't know. Either way, Mission 3 was complete. We destroyed 5 artillery positions along with several other targets around the battlefield, helped clear the road for the friendly advance, and somehow returned with both the aircraft and pilot mostly intact. And I have to say, this was probably my favorite mission of the campaign so far. The previous sortie gave us a great introduction to the way Home by Christmas works. This mission actually showed us what the structure can create when everything comes together. That is exactly the kind of immersion I was hoping this campaign will deliver. And we're still only on Mission 3 out of 15, so I'm very curious to see what this story goes from here. Thank you so much for watching and for continuing to support these videos. I genuinely appreciate every comment, every like, and everybody who has been following along since the Commander Career series. The support since IL-2 Korea release has been fantastic, and I'm having a great time making these. We will absolutely return to the 429th and Robert Redcap, but for now, I really want to finish Home by Christmas and see what this first full campaign has waiting for us. As always, let me know what you thought about the episode, the pacing, the narration, or anything you think I could improve. I read all of it, and the feedback really does help me make the next one better. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next sortie. Ciao!